Welcome to 21st Century Learning, exploring the intersection of education and technology. This is episode number 3.05, and you're listening to the EdTech Talk channel of the World Bridges Network. Today is December 4th, 2014. I'm Alex.
I'm Arvind Grover.
And I'm the hacking Vinnie Brotny.
Hopping. Excuse you, Vinnie.
Don't you love that Google Hangout automatically goes to your live feed when you make a noise?
So I'm going to have to step out. I apologize for the quick intro, but I look forward to catching up on the conversation, guys.
Thanks for joining us, Alex.
Thanks.
Yeah. So Arvind, one of the things in the brief pre-show I think is interesting is just what's going on with the world, and that in the independent school world, this happens to overlay the POCC, the Persons of Color Conference, as well as the student SDLC, Student Development Leadership Conference, I believe.
University Leadership Conference.
There you go. So it's just it'd be very interesting to be in Indianapolis right now to be listening to the hallway conversations.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sad that I'm not there this year. We're sending our first juniors. Now that we have juniors, are there. We have a whole group of them. We have 5 teachers there, 3 high school teachers and 3 of our lower and early childhood educators and 2 high school folks. We have a nice big group there. We're in just off of Union Square in New York, and the protests post the Ferguson grand jury decision. The protests since yesterday's grand jury decision in the Eric Garner case, which was on Staten Island, have been large and have really taken New York over in a kind of way, marching, closing bridges, closing the highways.
Right.
But more importantly, just what the messages our students are hearing, what we as adults are grappling with, trying to explain to students the difference between law and justice.
Right.
And how the law can be followed and justice still not be served. And so we're talking about these pretty complex ideas, and our students are, their sense of justice and morality is really strong, but it also, the younger they get, tends to be really black and white.
Correct.
And so really trying to navigate and complexify something that for me as an adult personally, as like a man of color living in New York City, it's hard to talk about because it's so personal. I have so many, I pass in a lot of situations. As a South Asian, I'm not sort of subject to the same scrutiny, I would say, as my Black and Latino friends and colleagues and fellow New Yorkers.
Mm-hmm.
But we're at a moment where the kids are really trying to get their heads around state-sanctioned violence. And we have in front of my school right now, there's probably 200 police cars, vans, Department of Corrections buses, police moving in riot gear. It's pretty intense.
How many news trucks are there, just out of curiosity?
Where we're situated, we don't see the news trucks. They're a little more, they must be somewhere else. So they're not there, but it's mainly the police where we are. It's kind of their organizing area. It's not so much that the protesters are where we are, so much as the police are mobilizing there and moving towards it.
So you're the staging area. So what kind of disruptions is it causing especially for your middle school and high school kids who are probably more polarized by all of this?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been disruptive. It's been more preoccupying. So we have students who, want to march in the protests. And so we talked about just how do you conduct yourself, how do you keep yourself safe. We have students who are allowed off campus, so they were going to go anyway. So we thought if they're going to go, let's go with them. Let's go as a group. Let's really try to understand what civil action is about.
Right.
And then we had students who came and led discussions once they came back. Why were we there? What did they see? What's happening? What are we actually talking about? In our middle school, it's been more a little bit of a discussion of what's actually happening. Why are people upset? What's a grand jury? I mean, a lot of people don't know what a grand jury is. They say, oh, the police officer was found innocent. And I'm like, no, there was no trial. There wasn't a trial. There's not an innocence. They just did not indict. And so learning what an indictment is, learning what a grand jury is, a lot of civic stuff in the moment.
Right.
But we're also a school sort of committed to doing anti-racist work, and so for us, it's been very mission-oriented, right? If we believe there's racism in the world, we're trying to train our students to be anti-racist activists. That's the moment. Whether, yes, Ferguson is problematic, and you can debate the points of the case, but we're not focusing on the points of this particular case so much
Right.
as being into something bigger.
So one of the things that really interests me, just in terms of you have this opportunity with your students, and based upon your mission and culture of the school, are students still expected to follow a bell schedule, or this wonderful learning opportunity? Have you been able to suspend bell schedule and really take a look at the curriculum based upon this opportunity to be eyewitness to everything?
Yeah. We haven't, well, we don't have bells, so it's a funny term to hear you say bell schedule, but I know what you mean. We have schedule. We haven't broken from the schedule, but what I think we do have is enough space in our schedule to do the work. So we have a lot of different groups and things that meet each week where space is made so that when things come up, we can address them. Whether that's chapel, we've had speakers in chapel this week talking about, we had a faculty member who was arrested at a protest talking about that experience to high school kids. We have our lower school had to talk to our lower schoolers about what white privilege is. So we make space based on what we have so far. And we have lab day in the high school, so there's a lot of opportunity for kind of experiential, clubs, things like that. So right now, a lot of the organizing has been either around some of our non-academic time or some of the student clubs that have organized things. So that's how we've gone about it so far.
Yeah, I wonder, if we oftentimes miss some great teachable opportunities by, adherence to, having to march through that schedule. And, is it important to study, chemistry at this particular point in time, based upon the fact that it's across the street from you?
Yeah, we were talking about it in, we have a diversity council of our school. It's kind of a steering committee for our school. And they were talking about what are the opportunities within the classroom. Like, should your 7th grade biology class switch topics right now to talk about the quote-unquote science of race? And, like, what is race?
Right.
And I doubt that most kids, most adults even in our school, could really articulate a coherent definition of race. And so those are the kinds of things, those are the discussions we're in right now. So it's more like using our existing schedule to get to the conversation so far than breaking out of it.
Right, and on the same topic, because there's such an immediacy, where does routine and some diversion from having that in your face all the time, not that inaccessible.
Yeah, I mean, it's a diversion no matter what right now in some ways. To your point, that it's so staggeringly apparent to all of us that something is happening. There's an outpouring of energy, of grief, of this protest quality that students are very curious, sometimes anxious, sometimes excited, all at the same time. And adults too. We're trying to balance our professional roles with our own personal politics of the case of where we are in America right now. It's complicated for all of us.
Yeah, one of the things which is interesting, and I think part of it is because I'm not in the day-to-day classroom anymore, that this is, I really don't see that here, in our school, because we're removed, from it, and I don't see our students up and taking the opportunity to have the conversations. Now, I'm sure that they're happening, and they're happening outside of my realm, and everything. But it's just, it's that difference. It was the difference in being in Chicago during the protests, during the summit. Yes, you did have to take some time out of your curriculum to have conversations around that, because kids were very interested in what was going on and what the implications were. But being removed, I'm not seeing it here.
It's funny. Do you mean removed from a major city, or I mean you're in a city?
Yeah, I don't sense the same conversations going on here.
Yeah.
And Houston is a very one of the most diverse cities in the country, and so I don't know what impact, and partially I think it's just because I'm not plugged in yet. I haven't made those social connections and things outside the work and family at this particular point. So.
Yeah, my head of school wrote an email to our community this week, which was titled "Why Ferguson is Important,"
Right.
and it's really, we're trying to engage parents in a dialogue and students at the same time, regardless of their politics, on this individual case.
Right.
To recognize that this is sort of long work for us, and this is just a moment to take some maybe extra attention on something we've been focused on for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. Like I say, I'm sure that the conversations are very, very thick and very, very heavy up at the conference.
Yeah. I can only imagine. When you're in a room with probably a lot of kids who've experienced just sort of the very watchful eye of police. A lot of adults have experienced it all gathered in one place to reflect on what it means to be a person of color.
Yeah.
That's going to be a moving time to be part of the OCC. But thank goodness we have that space created.
I guess I'm just coming from my point of privilege that I've not had those personal experiences.
Sure.
So, yeah.
One of the things we talked about at our diversity council meeting was how, making it clear to our community members that we really believe that racism is harmful to all people.
Right.
So like that, this police officer who ends up killing a young man has been victimized by racism himself, and now has to live with the fact that he's killed a young person his whole life. I mean, of course, the young person's family has suffered more than anyone, but we're all suffering as a result of racism, And so I think helping our students understand that racism affects all people, not just people of color, is really critical. And
Right.
And the other fact we've been really focused in with kids is, especially the younger kids, is there's a confusion that racism is meanness to people of another race,
Right.
and that there's something more than meanness. There's racial prejudice plus power creates racism. So really trying to help them understand the power dynamics of races. That's the heart of the matter, but it's also the most difficult thing to express for me with young people.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys are doing some great work.
We're in the struggle, Vinnie.
Yeah. You're doing some great work. You're bringing some awareness, and you're giving an opportunity for those conversations to be held, and that's to be commended.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We want to just. It helps us realize how important the work is when you kind of see how the country is responding right now.
Yeah, for sure. So what else do you have going on at this particular point? I can't even believe it's December.
December here, quickly.
Yeah, so.
Are you all on a semester over there? How does it work for you?
Yeah, so the schedule's quite interesting. We start earlier than you all by a couple of weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks. And so next week, a week from today, is no required school for our upper school students. It's exam review day. And then exams start a week from tomorrow. A semester exams start a week from tomorrow, and then run through right up to the run to winter break. And so both our high school and our middle school students will be doing their semester exams. The middle school students, when they come back, will still have like a week and a half or 2 weeks of the semester. I think that they just tie those exam schedules together. But the upper school does a 3-week interim term.
Great.
Yeah, so I'm actually getting a chance to teach an upper school interim term course.
Oh, I was just going to ask that.
So yeah, I'm doing one on the art of tinkering.
Cool.
And so it's really kind of a twofold. One is to provide an example, because here we don't have a lot of blended learning and virtual learning space. And so I've been building a lot of the instruction, in that flipped way. One of the original thoughts was to do it all as a distance learning type experience. So, I'm weighing and borrowing heavily from the MIT MOOC as well as one that the Exploratorium did, just to be able to give some instruction, but then to just create some space with some materials and help kids begin to tinker and build. So it looks like it's gonna. I have heard that the course has made, and so that's a good thing. And so I've just got a plan over the next 4.5 weeks to be up and at least 5 minutes ahead of the kids.
Now, do the kids take one course for 3 weeks?
No, they take 4 courses.
Oh wow! Okay.
They take up to 4 courses. Some of the courses are so our seniors. All of our seniors do an internship program, and so some of them are outside of the Houston area. So I guess we've got a big contingent who's going up and going to be up in New York, doing some internships and things there. So they've got their some of the courses are more field experiences. So there's one that I'd love to take. Teacher in Conversations is very fascinating. He teaches the history of Houston, and so it's an all field excursion. So there are 4 periods. That particular course takes up, I think, 3 of the periods because of the fact that they do spend a lot of field study time outside. There are also some trips abroad and some different things that go on. So if you do a trip, then you're obviously in with that group for the entire time. So
really cool.
I only have a 1-period class, thank God. I only have to get ready for 70 minutes a day for 14 days. So
have to get back into your teaching shape.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one.
That sounds like a lot of fun. That's a great way to come back to the year. We used to do something like that at my old school.
Yeah, and then they'll start the second semester afterwards in the last week of January. Okay. Yeah, but we're already, as I'm sure you all are taking a look at the 2/16 calendar, 2/15/16 calendar.
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable.
And one of the things that we noted that next year, just because of the way the calendar falls, we're wrapped up on the Friday before Memorial Day, with all of our faculty meetings, graduation, the whole 9 yards. So when we dismiss on that Friday of Memorial Day weekend, we are done.
That's unbelievable.
It is.
That's when our seniors will be done. We'll do graduation, and our seniors will be done.
Right, but then we're back on the 3rd of August. So.
Whoa, that is intense.
So, but yeah, that's when the campus opens up and meetings start, and the 4th or 5th new faculty arrive, and so down south we start a little earlier.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, well, we've been efficient on our time, so I'm going to wrap us up for today.
Yeah, and then we'll have to let Alex know that the next time. I know that he had to run out, but we do have our traditional holiday gift idea.
Absolutely.
That we've done so that to have a couple things up and ready for 2 weeks from today.
Thanks, everyone, for listening for 21st Century Learning on December 4th, 2014. Sorry for having a little technical difficulties at the end. We hope you'll catch us in 2 weeks for our holiday gift show idea. Have a great one.